Player ratings then, Huddersfield Town 1, Everton 2 at the John Smith Stadium. Everton through to the third round of the Carabao Cup after leaving it late to beat Huddersfield Town. Not the greatest game of football, not the greatest performance from Everton, let's be honest. However, we're through to the next round, we're in the hat, and that is all that matters. Asmir Begovic then, obviously coming in for Jordan Pickford for tonight's game. I've given Asmir Begovic a 6.5. Made a couple of big saves, a couple of really good saves, and found himself in the right position a couple of times. But I do think he made a couple of silly little mistakes as well. You know, obviously he made a big save from a Huddersfield effort when it was 1-0, I believe. However, he palmed it straight back into the path of the Huddersfield striker. And if the Huddersfield striker would have had a little bit more composure about him, he'd have put it into the back of the net, and we'd all probably be sitting here saying, why is he palming that back into his path, and why isn't he, you know, getting rid of the ball? There was a couple of corners as well I thought he could have done a little bit better with dealing with, but overall he had a decent game overall. He didn't do a massive amount wrong. That's just me being a little bit picky. Don't think he was particularly a fault for the goal either. Maybe he could have come out and dealt with the situation, but I think he probably thought that one of his two centre-halves would do that. So Asmir Begovic is getting a 6.5. Niles Nkunku, I've given him a 5. Might be a little bit harsh. He wasn't awful today, Niles Nkunku. Getting forward, obviously, he was very, very exciting, as he always is, to be fair. He's a very, very exciting prospect going forward. You know, very skillful, very quick. There was a couple of times when he turned Huddersfield midfielders absolutely inside out and got down that left-hand side, and he looked really, really promising. We know his limitations defensively. He's still very, very young, and obviously he's got a lot of improvements to make defensively, and I think he was caught a couple of times defensively today. You know, it was far too easy for Huddersfield to break Everton down and get themselves into areas on the edge of the box and in our area and get shots away. And obviously Niles Nkunku was part of that defensive line. Like I said, he got forward on a couple of occasions. Probably unlucky to not get an assist with the ball across the box for Moise Kean, who very nearly scored. Keeper makes a good save. But like I said, again, I'd like a little bit more defensively from him. Jared Branthwaite then. I've given Jared Branthwaite a 3.5, to be honest with you. And this again, may be a little bit harsh. He didn't particularly do anything massively wrong, but I just think he, again, formed part of a defensive three. You know, those three centre-backs who just didn't have a good afternoon whatsoever. I think Huddersfield found it far too easy to work through us, far too easy to get the ball into dangerous areas and create chances for themselves. And Jared Branthwaite a couple of times was caught, you know, just dozing a little bit, you know, not necessarily out of position, but not, you know, switched on to what's going on. And look, again, Jared's still very, very young himself and obviously got a lot to learn, and he's just come back from a big injury towards the end of last season, so that's understandable, and I get that. And like I said, he hasn't played much pre-season and hasn't been involved at all so far in the first couple of games of the season, so it's understandable. I just would have liked a bit more dominance from Jared Branthwaite, and maybe he doesn't prefer to play in a centre defensive three. Maybe he likes to play in sort of a traditional two. We know how good Jared Branthwaite is. He proved that, you know, towards the back end of the 2019-2020 Premier League season. He was absolutely fantastic. So we know how good he is, and obviously we know he's still very young and he's got a lot to learn. But I don't think he was great today. I don't think any of the back line were great, but I don't think he was massively involved. Michael Keane then. Michael Keane's getting a 3. Again, I've been quite lenient with Michael Keane over the last couple of games on the play ratings. I think I give him a 5. 2 games on the bounce, even despite the fact that he was at fault for the goal against Southampton, and he was at fault for one of the goals against Leeds as well. He's at fault for the goal today. You know, there's no beating around the bush. Maybe Mason Holgate could have done a little bit more to have helped them out. Obviously, Mason just completely misjudges the ball and it goes over his head. But Michael Keane watches the attacker. He watches Lees walk off him. And again, I'm not too sure where we are standing at the minute with the zonal marking or man-to-man marking. I still think it's zonal. But for me, Michael Keane should see that danger. He should see that there's a 6'3", 6'4", you know, attacking player in the box who's basically unmarked on his own and is going to jump for the header, and he should go over there and sense that danger and deal with it. And I just don't think he does. I said it in the instant match reaction. Put it this way, if Yerry Mina's on the pitch today, I don't think that goal goes in the back of the net whatsoever. So for me, again, it's another Michael Keane mistake. I think it'd do Michael Keane some good to have a bit of time out the team now. Whether it's a week, 2 weeks, just completely away from the side, whether it just be on the substitute bench or not even in the squad whatsoever. I think his confidence is rock bottom at the moment, and we all know he's a confidence player, and when he's not playing with confidence, he doesn't really play very well. So Michael Keane is getting a 3. Mason's getting a 4, not much better, to to be honest with you. Obviously didn't really make any mistakes that led to any goal, led to a goal or any real danger situations. But again, his passing, his decision making, he got knocked off the ball far too easily on a couple of occasions, and he just looked to really, really struggle today against, a decent Championship side. But this should have been a game that Mason found it more than comfortable enough to deal with the attack of Huddersfield, and I don't think he did today. Wore the captain's armband, of course, and like I said, he was okay, but I just thought he struggled on a couple of occasions. Jonjo Kenny then. Jonjo's getting a 5. Again, we started the game with this sort of 5 at the back formation, didn't we? And the assumption is when you play a 5 at the back formation that your wing backs are wing backs and they get forward. I think that was very much the case on the left hand side with Nazim Kunku. And he got forward on a number of occasions and provided that attacking threat. But I don't think it was the case on the right hand side with Jonjo Kenny. He never really got forward, never really put any balls into the box, never really threatened the Huddersfield defence whatsoever. And that is quite disappointing. Again, defensively, he was okay. He didn't have a lot to deal with, and again, like I said, he formed part of that defensive line that were all over the place for, 8/10 of the game. But again, he done okay. So Jonjo is getting a 5. Tom Davies in the midfield. Tom's getting a 6.5. Quite a mixed game for Tom, in my opinion. Obviously, he got the assist for Alex Iwobi's goal, which is a fantastic assist, picking the ball up and driving with the ball in the midfield. Exactly what we want to see from Tom Davies and any other Everton midfielder. Really, we want to see them picking the ball up and driving forward, and creating opportunities. And he did. And he played a really nice pass into Alex Iwobi, who finished it well. And there was a couple of times that he picked the ball up and he moved it forward and he was playing it off nicely, but there was also a couple of times where he was caught on the edge of our box and he just wasn't attracted to danger. He wasn't getting there when Huddersfield were playing the ball across our area and finding themselves in good areas. They were doing that far too easily, and Tom Davies formed part of that midfield duo with Jean-Philippe Gbamin, who just for me weren't quite quick enough to the danger today on a number of occasions, and we got away with it a couple of times, but like I said in the intermatch reaction in the Premier League, you don't get away with those situations. So for me, Tom, decent game, really good assist for Alex Iwobi's goal, but in terms of his defensive duties as a midfielder, I think he could have done a little bit better, so he's getting a 6.5. Same with Jean-Philippe Gbamin, he's getting a 6 though. Again, like I said, first competitive game back, obviously first competitive start rather back, for I think 473 days, so taking that into consideration and cutting Jean-Philippe Gbamin a little bit of slack, he was bound to get to a point today where I think the fitness side of things, caught up on him. We know he's obviously had some issues over the last couple of weeks with isolation and being out of training and not being able to train and prepare. He was on the bench on Saturday against Leeds, never come on, never featured, and obviously started this game and I think he played the entire game, didn't he? Or at very least, no, he played the entire game, didn't he? And yeah, like I said, again in the first half, looking bright, picking the ball up, dominant midfield presence as we know, and as I'm sure we'll see a lot more of in the coming weeks and months. But again, like I said, towards in the second half, certainly there was a couple of times where he was caught daydreaming on the ball would drop out the air and he wasn't quick enough to it, and Huddersfield would pick it up and break, or he'd get caught in possession and he just couldn't make the yards back, and Huddersfield would get forward, and it's those types of situations. There was one where he got caught on the edge of Huddersfield's box. We were in a really good area and Gbamin just got caught with the ball and Huddersfield broke him down the other end and very nearly created a goal scoring opportunity for themselves. And it's those, like I said, little situations that you might get away with on nights like tonight against a decent Championship side. You won't get away with against the good Premier League side who'll make you pay for that. So again, he looked okay, and given the fact that he's been out of action for so long and hasn't had an awful lot of game time recently, but certainly could do better in my opinion. Alex Iwobi's getting a 7.5. Man of the match for me today, Alex Iwobi. Obviously his goal is a very good finish, and I think he was actually in the game an awful lot more than anybody else, trying to get around the pitch, trying to create opportunities, trying to feed balls in. Obviously he played a nice ball to Moise Kean on one occasion, and Moise Kean just couldn't quite convert it. Scored his goal, got the goal really well, to be honest with you. And he looked bright attacking wise, he looked bright getting forward, and he didn't do an awful lot, he didn't create an awful lot, but he was involved, which is all I can say. Let's be honest, there wasn't a lot of massively standout players today in an Everton shirt, but I thought Alex Iwobi done well, so he's getting a 7.5. Andros Townsend's getting a 7, and that score is boosted a lot by the winning goal. Great to see him get his first Everton goal, of course, and obviously fantastic for it to be the winner. Really good ball in by Andre Gomez, and Andros Townsend finishes it well. But for the rest of the game, I'd be lying if I was to say I wasn't disappointed with Andros Townsend. Again, you know, we can sit here all we like all day long and talk about Mason Holgate and Michael Keane not looking good enough against the Championship side, and we can sit here all day long and talk about how they're Premier League players and they should be good enough to, you know, to perform against a side like Huddersfield. Again, no disrespect to Huddersfield, but for me, Andros Townsend falls into that category. He didn't do an awful lot today. Yes, he scored the winning goal, and that's great and fair play. And it's a fantastic finish, and again, like I said, that's why he gets a boosted score. But for the rest of the game, I just think he should have done a little bit more. I don't think he was in the game, really. There was a couple of times when he picked the ball up on the wing, and again, nothing amounted to it. A couple of corners that he tried to put in the box, and they were cleared. They were really poor corners. A couple of them just went, you know, massively overhit. So, again, not a massively impressive performance by Andros Townsend today. However, you know, you would expect better, but he got the winning goal, so that's all that matters. And then Moise Kean, I've given Moise Kean a 6. Really difficult one to mark Moise Kean because obviously he got sent off early on in the second half. So, you know, again, you would think that you know, you would mark him down for that. I don't think it's a sending off. As I said in the instant match reaction, I haven't seen a replay yet, by the way. So maybe I'll see a replay in the next coming days and I'll think, oh, that's why he's being sent off. But for me, it looks like he just reacts to a shove in the back. He gives the player a little nudge, and that's it, really. And for him to be sent off for that is utterly shocking refereeing. It's a dreadful decision, an absolutely dreadful decision, and I'm not quite sure why he was sent off. For the first, 45 minutes, I actually thought Moise Kean was lively. He was getting about the pitch. He was holding the ball up well. He was giving it off. He had a couple of shots early on. One where he intercepts a pass from Huddersfield midfield and he gets a shot off on the edge of the box which goes wide. One where Niels Nkunku plays the ball in. Like I said, he gets on the end of it. He takes the shot and it's a good save by the goalkeeper. He had a goal disallowed which should never ever have been disallowed. He's miles onside and it was a brilliant finish. So I actually thought he had a really lively first half. Moise Kean, I thought he looked good. I thought he looked involved. He looked in the game and he looked like he was hungry to go and get a goal. Now, obviously, we didn't see anything of him in the second half because he got sent off within the opening first 5 or 10 minutes. But if that, like I said, if we see the replay and there's genuinely nothing in that and it's just a shocking refereeing decision, then Moise Kean might get a lot of stick today because obviously Everton naturally were put under a lot more pressure when he got sent off. We went down to 10 men and we were already struggling to deal with the Huddersfield press at this point. So naturally, it become even harder. But if there was genuinely absolutely nothing in that challenge whatsoever and it was just an awful refereeing decision, then I don't really think we can sit here and criticise Moise an awful lot. Look, you might say he shouldn't have reacted, he shouldn't have gone back in, and that's fine. Maybe that's a bit of maturity and maybe he shouldn't have. But as performances go today, I thought he'd done okay. I thought he was lively in the first half. He scored a perfectly good goal, which was disallowed, and he got sent off for something he should never have been sent off for. And who knows, had he stayed on the pitch, maybe he'd have gone and got the second, third goal, and maybe Everton would have won the game more convincingly than what we did. So again, like I said, I'm giving Moise Kean a 6 today. We don't know what'll happen with his future, but certainly in that first half, I thought he looked okay, even when our defence looked so shaky. And then onto the substitutes. As I said in the instant match reaction, for me, the substitutes changed the game. Andre Gomez, I'm going to give him a 7.5. Obviously, come on, provided that little bit of experience, provided that little bit of quality on the ball. Really good assist for Andros Townsend's goal. Got himself into a good area and played a really nice ball across the box for obviously Andros Townsend to finish. Damari Gray, giving him a 7. Again, wasn't massively involved. Had the chance right at the end of the game before the final whistle was blown where he got himself one-on-one with the goalkeeper, took a shot and it was saved. But his directness, his pace, his ability to take on players, his ability to knock the ball past them and run, I think it really I think it caused the Huddersfield backline issues in that final 5 or 10 minutes that he was on the pitch. And then Luca Dean, I think again 7 for me. Come on, shored the defence up massively. Look, Niels Nkunku played well and got forward, but I think in terms of defensive cover, I think Luca Dean shored it up an awful lot when he come on and just ensured that Everton were an awful lot calmer. And look, ideally we wouldn't have had to look to when Luca Dean or a Damari Gray to come on because we know those two players are going to feature on Saturday. So it would have been nice for us to have completed that game without the need to rely on those two players, but we had to, and they all come on and they all done a good job and just shored the game up. So yeah, there you go. Look, big thanks for watching. There are the play ratings. Let us know your thoughts on them in the comment section down below. Rafa Benitez today, I'm going to give him a 6 today. Probably in hindsight shouldn't have made as many changes as he did, even though I predicted him to do that. the biggest worry for me coming out of today's game is that the drop-off in quality between Everton's first team and Everton's second team, if you like, is massively scary. The drop-off in quality between our first and second choice centre-half and our third and fourth choice centre-half is massively scary. Our first choice right back to our second choice, our first choice left back to our second choice, our midfielders, even the attack line. It's scary. It really, really is scary. But look, we won the game. That's all that matters. We won the game. Got to be positive. We're in the half of the next round. And obviously we go again. We'll see who we get. Massive thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed this one, please hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're new. Give your thoughts in the comment section down below and we'll get through as many of them as we can. Big thanks for watching and we'll see you soon.